Hi, everybody. Let's talk about numbers. It's week 6 of Biblical Lit. I'm Pastor Sarah Stobie from Bayshore Lutheran Church, and welcome to our vlog, where we are throughout the year reading the entire Bible together. And as I said, it's week 6. If you want more information, you can visit our website. You can find the reading guide that we are using, and you can simply follow along. So welcome. Being week 6, just in case you need to know, today's reading that I have for you is coming from the section where we are reading from Leviticus 24 through Numbers 11. So that is our reading for this week. And I know last week's reading, being Leviticus, it was rather hard to stomach. And I know that, and I'm glad. As I said last week, and we're wrapping up Leviticus this week, Leviticus reminds us why we need Jesus, doesn't it? Reading Leviticus, the priestly code and the holiness code, it reminds us why we need Jesus. So we're finishing up Leviticus this week, and by all means, read through that, and then we go immediately into Numbers. So let me set up Numbers for you a little bit to make it perhaps give you a little bit more background and context, if you will. The book of Numbers is obviously an English word, and in Hebrew, the name of this book is In the Wilderness. And you could actually call the book of Numbers Exodus Part 2. You really could. Exodus Part 2, because if you took away the book of Leviticus, and if you read Numbers immediately following Exodus, it does seem to flow rather well, doesn't it? The Israelites are in the wilderness, and we immediately begin this book with the counting of the tribes. And as you can see, it's a census, for a lack of a better word, and it's the census of God's people. And then we get into the whole, this is where this group's going to be and sleeping with their tents, and this is what's going to happen in these tents, and this is about the Levites and what they do and how they have no property and they're to live among all the tents. And some of you will be thinking, wow, this is really dry. But as you keep going in Numbers, you're going to read some stuff that, like Leviticus, is going to upset you. And again, I'm going to say good, because again, that's why Jesus came. You're going to get to that one section, and it was really hard for me to read too, my friends, about women and wives especially, and the trauma, this is in chapter 5, that they had to go through if their husband was jealous and suspected them of adultery of some kind. And yeah, you're going to read that and just kind of think this is very strange. And first, be grateful we don't do that now, absolutely. But secondly, you're going to be wondering, why is this important for me to know? My whole point of us reading the Bible is for us to understand Jesus better. And Jesus, what does he do? He heals people. He also sticks up for the downtrodden, I should say. And he also kind of retools and relooks at the law. And he always brings love and compassion into it. So that woman who was about to be stoned, what does Jesus do? He says, hey, those of you who have not sinned, feel free to cast that first stone. And of course they can't. And Jesus heals the leper, and he heals the stranger, and Jesus does all the things that we are reading about here in Leviticus and now Numbers, and Jesus changes it. So again, we have to understand the Old Testament in order to fully understand the wonderfulness of Jesus. Now, for example, today I want to focus just on a little part of Numbers. I want to focus on the beginning of chapter 5. Now, if your Bible's like mine, it says a little subheading for chapter 5, concerning unclean persons. And it's just a couple verses, so I'm going to read it here. It says that the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the Israelites to put out of the camp everyone who is leprous or has a discharge, and everyone who is unclean through contact with a corpse. You shall put out both male and female, putting them outside the camp. They must not defile their camp, where I dwell among them. The Israelites did so, putting them outside the camp, as the Lord had spoken to Moses, so the Israelites did. Now, in light of the pandemic that we have, and in light of the fact that we are also have been experiencing times of quarantine, there is a part of me now that reads this and thinks, public health. Now, just hear me out. Perhaps someone is displaying some sort of illness and they really don't know what it is. Maybe it's some sort of skin something. I mean, leprosy can mean many different things here in the Old Testament Bible. It's not necessarily what we now diagnose as leprosy. It could have been a whole amount of things. And again, if you read through Leviticus, God bless you, because you read a lot about spots. And again, they're doing the best that they can. And by having the person who is displaying leprosy, some sort of skin condition, some sort of rash, some sort of, whatever it may have been, or discharge, which again, whatever that could be, by having that person not be in the tent, which was very close, very tight-knit, there was then hopefully no contamination, no spreading of the disease, no spreading of the issue. And then that person being out of the tent, we know from Leviticus, eventually when their skin clears up or the discharge goes away, they're able to present themselves to the priest, and the priest is basically able to say, yes, you're welcome to come back in. I can kind of see this as a public health issue. They're doing the best that they can. Now, do I think that we should do that now? Oh gosh, no. I mean, no. But at the same time, during this time of pandemic, we did say, let's voluntarily quarantine. My husband and I did. We voluntarily quarantined because we were not sure whether or not we had COVID. And so we voluntarily quarantined in our house for the good of all, the public health of all. And maybe you did something like that too. So as I'm reading this, I'm kind of seeing how having unclean persons separated from the rest who are living in the camps, all nice and tightly closed together, that this might not have been a horrible thing. We also don't know, there's no restriction here in chapter 5 about how long they need to be out there. In Leviticus, we read in detail, as I said, about the spots and the discharge and the different colors and the different things that it all meant. And the priests had to figure that all out, like doctors. God bless them. But again, I can kind of see it. But what I also love is as I read chapter 5 and I read about God commanding people to be taken outside of the camp because they are considered unclean, is that Jesus, again, why do we need Jesus? Jesus ate and lived and allowed people to touch him who were unclean. And he did not reprimand them for that. The story of the woman who sadly had a discharge bleeding for years and years and years. I'm sure you remember this from the New Testament. She was fully robed, covered up, so that nobody accidentally touched her, so that her germs would not pass from one person to another, which, by the way, I'm sure that her condition was not contagious. But again, they didn't know much back then. But she touched Jesus because she believed, if I just touch his robe, I will be healed. And then she was. And Jesus' response to her was, your faith has made you well. Jesus also cured the 10 lepers. Remember that story? How the 10 lepers outside of the village, they were living together and they were sad and they couldn't be with their family. And they had some sort of conditions. Again, it might not be what leprosy is to us today. Could have been something else. Jesus healed them. And then, after he did so, he told them, now go to the priest, present yourself, just like it says in the book of Leviticus, and let the priest make you be clean so that you can enter the community again. But Jesus was the reason why they were healed. So all of this is connected, Bayshore. If you only understand one thing about these hard readings in the first 5 books of the Old Testament, if you only understand this, and this is the only reason why you read this with me for the next couple more weeks, is that all of these things are connected to Jesus. All of them. All of them. From the unfaithful wife, which is, again, horrible story, to the Nazirite vow, which was John the Baptist, to the confession and restitution, Jesus saying about forgiving, about this, how much should I forgive? And Jesus talks about that. All of the things that Jesus talks about, it comes from this. And that's why I love the Old Testament. I love the Old Testament because it helps me understand Jesus more. So I do want you to get through the reading of the book Numbers. In fact, next week we'll be reading more from the book of Numbers, and then in week 8 we'll wrap up the book of Numbers and we'll go into Deuteronomy. I do want you to read these passages if you can, because again, it will make your understanding of Jesus far more deeper. But if you just watch my vlog, I understand that too. But as we get into Deuteronomy, I want to tell you this, just to give you a heads up. Jesus quotes the book of Deuteronomy more than any other book of our Bible. So Deuteronomy is some place that we're going to dwell in that and maybe really pull apart some of it to understand why it was so important and why Jesus quoted it as much as Jesus did. But for now, we're getting through Numbers. I know it's tough. I know it is. But like today, that little snippet that I gave you from chapter 5 about clean and unclean, again, I hope you're making these connections with these stories of Jesus and what Jesus did in response to how people were keeping the law and the law that we're reading now. Okay, my friends, I've gone over my 12 minutes. God bless you and keep you. And I hope that you are enjoying at least these vlogs and you're getting some sort of enrichment from that. Be sure to like this video if you can. It helps share our video. I was asked if we are making any type of money off these videos that I'm making in our worship services. And the answer is no. No, we do not have a professional YouTube count. We do not have nearly enough followers or subscribers to do that. When you like the video, it's not that you are actually giving pennies to the church, but what you are doing is you're liking the video, and through that like, it is going to be made more available to others because YouTube's algorithm works that way. If there's a video that a lot of people view and a lot of people like, they will then start showing that video to people who also watch similar things. There's no money involved. So I just wanted you all to know that. But as I said, God bless you and keep you. God's face shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. And may God always, always grant you peace. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.